Discover how a ruined lady's incredible fight for love led to an unexpected life-changing union. Clara McKenzie stood at the edge of the Maplewood Community Center, heart pounding like a drum as laughter and chatter filled the air around her. The annual Harvest Festival was just days away, yet the colors felt dimmer, the joy of the season dampened by whispers and glances that still haunted her, even 2 years after the scandal. Once a beloved teacher, Clara was now a shadow of her former self, living proof that judgment often outpaced compassion. As she busily sorted through piles of pumpkins for the festival, her daughter, Emma, laughed nearby, her carefree spirit a stark contrast to the weight resting on Clara's shoulders. With each chuckle, Clara remembered happier days, the euphoria of guiding her students toward success, only to have it all shattered by a rumor, a careless lie that turned into a wildfire and consumed her life. "Hey, Ms. McKenzie," came a familiar voice. Luke Carter, the town's mechanic, approached, hands stuffed in his pockets. Clara felt a flutter as their eyes met. "Need some help?" Without waiting for an answer, Luke grabbed a hefty pumpkin and flashed a grin that sent a warmth flooding through her chest. He saw her. Not the tarnished reputation, not the pain, but the woman she was, strong and resilient. "How's Emma?" he asked, always caring, always genuine. "She's great," Clara replied, her voice thick with unshed tears. "We're working on the festival together." "Good," he said, leaning closer, "you know, I always thought you were the heart of this town." But even as he spoke, Clara felt the prickly fingers of doubt creeping back in. Who was she kidding? Her heart whispered what her head fought to believe, that love could bloom in the rubble of her past. But did she deserve it? As she glanced at the townspeople, many of whom now avoided her gaze, the answer felt painfully clear. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As the festival approached, Clara faced a painful misunderstanding with her estranged family. They had always stood by her side until the lie that shamed her drove them away. The rift left Clara aching for acceptance, feeling suffocated by isolation. Every smile felt like a mask, hiding the truth. She was alone, scared, and desperate for connection. The night of the festival arrived, filled with colorful lights and hopeful laughter, yet Clara felt off-kilter. Amidst the cheerful chaos, she clutched her heart, wrestling with her fears. When a confrontation erupted, her voice broke the air, shaking as she spoke the words silenced by shame. "You don't know my struggle. You don't see the sacrifices I've made." Breathless, Clara stood in the center of a crowd that had once adored her, her voice raw but fierce. "I am still here. I will not be defined by a moment of weakness." As the gasps and whispers flared around her, she felt the simmering tension lift, hearts beginning to soften. But in that poignant moment, as support swirled near, Clara turned her gaze to Luke, wondering if love could flourish despite the scars of her past. The festival lights twinkled above, and her heart raced with both hope and fear. Was she ready to let someone in again? The unspoken question lingered as Clara faced the crowd, poised for whatever came next, ready to fight for the love and life she deserved. As the night wore on, Clara felt a shift in the atmosphere. The energy of the festival wrapped around her like a warm blanket, slowly melting away the frost of her fear. Conversations bubbled up all around, but her heart only noticed the steady thud of Luke's confidence lingering in her mind. Were those his words that whispered encouragement or the echo of hope she had buried deep inside? "Mom!" Emma's excited voice cut through the chatter. Clara turned to see her daughter darting through a flurry of colorful people, a small prize in her hands, a blue ribbon that shimmered like a beacon in the festival lights. "I won second place in the pumpkin carving contest." Clara's chest filled with pride. Emma's joy reminded her of their shared dreams, of a brighter future. That's amazing, sweetheart. Clara knelt to embrace her, feeling the warmth of her daughter's smile chase away shadows from the past. Yet, just as she reveled in that moment, Clara's gaze wandered back to the townsfolk. They watched her closely, some whispers still lingering. Doubts crept back in, but this time she stood stronger. Clara took a deep breath, resolved to keep her head held high. Minutes later, Luke found her once again, weaving through the crowd. "You sure know how to command an audience," he said, his eyes sparkling with admiration. "Very proud of you." Clara fixed him with a curious look. "You were watching. Couldn't he help it? You reminded everyone that you're not just a memory. You're a fighter." His words hung in the air, heavy and rich with promise. There was something undeniably comforting in his gaze. I want them to understand," she confessed. "I want my life back. There's strength in vulnerability, too," he said, his voice steady. "People will see that." Clara met his gaze, seeking assurance in his deep, cerulean eyes. With every word, he chipped away at her armor. For the first time in a long while, the thought of rebuilding felt less like a burden and more like a journey. "No more hiding, Clara. You deserve to be happy," he continued, leaning in just enough to close the distance, but respecting her boundaries. That subtle push ignited something within her. Could she truly step into the light and embrace love again? Just as the weight of her fears began to lift, they were interrupted by a loud cheer. The winner of the pumpkin contest was announced, and the crowd erupted in applause. Clara's heart raced, not just because of the excitement but from the sudden realization that she wanted to be part of this community again. She wanted to belong. "Maybe this festival is the start of something new," Luke murmured, catching her eye once more. "You could start teaching again, perhaps." His suggestion floated in the space between them like a promise yet to unfold. Clara felt a flutter of hope. Was teaching again even a possibility? Could she truly rebuild those bridges burned by rumors and lies? Before the question could settle, a loud crash startled them both. Clara turned to see a stack of hay bales tumble to the ground, eliciting gasps from the crowd. Heart racing, she was drawn to the commotion. "Stay here," Luke said, but her instinct pushed her toward the noise, a surge of protective energy igniting inside her. The festival needed her, and in that moment, she realized she needed to be needed. As Clara rushed to help, a strange mix of determination and fear surged through her. Little did she know, this night would set into motion a series of events that would change everything again. What awaited her as she stepped forward into the chaos? The answer lingered in the air, thick with the scent of hay and possibility. Would she find love amidst the rubble, or would the falling hay prove yet another obstacle in her path? Clara pushed through the gathered crowd, the scent of damp hay filling her nostrils, mingling with whispers of worry. People began to right the fallen bales, hands moving frantically amidst shouts of direction and laughter that sliced through the tension. She spotted Emma in the chaos, her eyes wide, searching for her mother, and Clara's heart swelled with an instinct to protect her. "Mom! Are you okay?" Emma called, her voice rising above the din. "I'm right here," Clara shouted back, weaving her way closer. The adrenaline pumping through her veins cleared her head, sharpening her focus on what needed to be done. Nearby, an elderly woman had lost her footing in the scramble, and Clara rushed to help her up, locking eyes briefly before smiling reassuringly. "I've got you," Clara said. The woman, warm in her gratitude, clutched Clara's arm, and in that moment, it struck her this was what community felt like. An unspoken connection between them. As she helped the woman, she heard a minor commotion from the other side of the haystack. Luke was already there, helping to stabilize the tumbling bales, his hands working efficiently with a few other festival-goers. The sight of him in motion sparked something in her, his confidence seemed to radiate, drawing her in. "Clara!" he called out, pausing a moment. "Can you help us out? We need to form a barrier so nobody gets hurt when we lift these." "Of course," she responded, her voice steadier now. The task felt monumental yet energizing, a welcome distraction from the whispers and shadows that had haunted her. She joined him and the others, forming a line of support as they prepared to lift the next stack. With a shared grunt and determination, they hoisted the hay bales, the strain of teamwork uniting them. Clara simply followed the rhythm around her, feeling buoyed by something greater than herself. Luke moved close by, and every smile shared and nod exchanged felt like silent encouragement. As the last bales were repositioned and the crowd cheered their efforts, Clara pulled away slightly, breathless from the exertion. The exhilaration of stepping into action, coupled with the satisfaction of achievement, infused her spirit. She felt a new sense of pride blossoming within her, one that contradicted her previous fears. "See. You're a natural leader," Luke said, drawing closer, genuine admiration in his eyes. "You didn't hesitate, Clara. That's big." "Maybe I've been waiting for the right moment," she replied, her heart racing not from fear, but from something that felt dangerously close to exhilaration, but the moment didn't linger long. The festival organizers began to gather people for the closing ceremony, and Clara caught sight of Emma rushing over, her blue ribbon shining bright. The little girl's eyes sparkled with pride that mirrored Clara's own. "Mama! Did you see? We helped!" Emma exclaimed, bouncing on her toes. Clara knelt down, extending her arms. "Of course, I did. You were so brave." She hugged Emma tightly, breathing her in as joy intertwined with relief. But as she straightened, the atmosphere shifted again. In the distance, Clara caught sight of an unfamiliar figure approaching, a heavy-set man whose eyes were dark and sharp. He seemed out of place among the festival's bright colors and laughter. Something about him sent a chill down Clara's spine. Doubt sprang to life, twisting through her like vines of old. "Do you know him?" Luke asked quietly, noticing her sudden change. The weight of her past crashed back into focus, and she shook her head slightly, trying to dismiss the feeling. "I don't think so," but the man drew closer, and Clara felt her heartbeat quicken. There was something ominous about his presence, a reminder of the dark days she tried to leave behind. "Clara," his voice boomed as he approached, drawing the attention of the crowd. "Long time no see." A cold wave of dread washed over her. Was this the ghost of her past coming back to haunt her? She gripped Emma's hand tightly, bracing for whatever was about to unfold. What did he want? And how would she protect everything she had just begun to rebuild? Clara's pulse raced as the man stepped forward, his expression a strange mix of curiosity and accusation. Every instinct in her screamed to run, but her daughter was right beside her, eyes wide and trusting. Emma looked up at Clara, unaware of the storm brewing just beyond her innocent gaze. "Who are you?" Clara managed to ask, her voice trembling slightly despite her efforts to sound calm. The man smirked, a glint of something unsettling shimmering in his eyes. "You really don't remember me, do you? After everything that happened?" His words dripped with a familiarity that sent chills coursing through Clara's veins. Luke stepped closer, his presence a firm support even though a hidden tension rippled in his posture. "Maybe it's time you left, buddy," he warned, his voice firm as he squared his shoulders. "Whoa there, Luke. Just trying to catch up." The man's smile widened, but it wasn't friendly. "Isn't that what friends do?" "Friends?" Clara echoed, the word tasting bitter on her tongue. "You're not a friend to anyone here." The murmurs within the crowd grew louder, a wave of concern radiating around them. Faces turned, eyes darting as everyone felt the shift in the atmosphere. Clara's gut twisted uncontrollably as she realized the man was drawing attention to her, peeling back layers of her past she had fought so hard to bury. "Listen, Clara, I'm not here to cause trouble," he continued, his voice lowering almost conspiratorially. "Just wanted to see how you were doing, years later after everything you ran from." Emma's small fingers tightened around Clara's hand. Clara's heart shattered with the need to shelter her child from whatever darkness loomed near. "We're done with the past," Clara replied, each word coated with defiance. But the man laughed, a hollow sound that echoed in her mind. "No, Darling, you can't just escape it. It has a way of finding you when you least expect it. Suddenly, Clara saw that flicker of recognition in the eyes of the crowd. Whispers began hushed conversations that made Clara's skin crawl as they passed judgment, labeling her as something she had fought tirelessly to leave behind. "Stay away from us!" Clara shouted, her voice piercing through the anxious air. She felt the fear turn to flame within her, revitalizing her will, the advocacy of a mother surfacing fiercely. But he remained unyielding, his gaze never wavering. "I'll always be lurking in the shadows, Clara." Waiting the moment felt suspended, time slowing as she searched the faces around her. Luke's determination did not falter, standing firm, ready to protect. And little Emma, bright and innocent, still believed in the happiness they had created together. "Clara!" Luke urged, grabbing her hand, gently steering her back, eyes unwavering. "Let us go. Right now." But the man's words echoed in her mind, a relentless whisper buried in her thoughts, waiting. Clara knew deep down that she couldn't just run away. Her past would not simply vanish. With a life to protect and a child to nurture, she had to confront this head-on. "Clara," Luke's voice broke her thoughts, "we need to leave." But as she turned to walk away, she stole one last glance over her shoulder, and through the sea of faces, she locked eyes with the unfamiliar man. His expression held a chilling promise, a tainted connection that could unravel everything she'd built. "Who are you?" she whispered to herself, a question that now threatened her peace and safety. As they moved through the crowd, Clara's heart raced. Luke's grip was reassuring, yet doubt lingered in her mind. This man wasn't just a ghost, he was a specter of all that could still go wrong. What would happen if he kept coming back? How long could she keep her family safe? The festival's laughter faded, replaced by the pulse of uncertainty surging in her veins. Clara knew she had to confront her demons, for the sake of her daughter and for her own sanity. But would she have the strength to face her past head-on when the time came? Clara's heart sank as she moved away from the crowd, feeling the weight of their stares like a tangible burden on her back. Luke kept her close, his presence a mount of strength, but the shadows of her past loomed larger than ever. Every breath she took felt heavier, a reminder that no amount of running could erase the memories intertwined with that man's face. "Clara, are you okay?" Luke asked, concern etched on his features. They had reached the outskirts of the festival, sounds of laughter and music now fading behind them. Emma, oblivious to the chaos, tugged on Clara's hand, picking up discarded flowers from the ground, turning them into crowns for imaginary princesses. "I don't know," Luke, the words spilled out, raw and vulnerable. "He knows things that I thought I left behind. Things I thought were dead and buried." Luke squeezed her hand, grounding her in the present. "You've built a new life. You have Emma. This doesn't change who you are now. He can't take that from you." Clara's throat tightened. But could she really believe that? The fear wrapped around her heart like a vice. What if he decides to dig deeper? What if he tells everyone who I used to be? Then we deal with it together. Luke's voice was calm, steady. "Look, I know you want to protect Emma, but from what I saw today you can't keep running forever. If he's back, it could mean unfinished business." Despite the comfort in his words, a part of Clara felt trapped between her past and the future she desperately wanted for her daughter. The idea of facing the man again sent a shiver down her spine, yet she knew she couldn't hide away like a frightened child. It felt like a choice between confronting her demons or allowing them to continue haunting her. "I have to think about Emma. She deserves a normal life. A happy one." Clara's voice cracked, and she swallowed hard, wiping at her tear-stained cheeks. "What if my past threatens that? I know the stakes are high. But hiding from the storm won't work. You're stronger than this, Clara." Just as Clara started to gather the fragments of her resolve, a familiar voice echoed from behind them. "You really plan on running away from me again, Clara?" The blood froze in her veins. The unsettling man strode toward them, his smirk unyielding, confidence radiating like a dark cloud. Emma clutched Clara's leg, her innocent gaze torn between curiosity and fear. "Emma, sweetheart, step back." Clara's heart raced, and every protective instinct kicked in again. She stood her ground, forcing a confident facade. "What do you want?" "Want? Oh, I simply want to make sure you're facing what you've buried. You were always so good at pretending." His eyes locked on Emma, and Clara's stomach churned. "Little princess needs to know who her mother really is, don't you think? Don't you dare talk to her." Clara roared, stepping in front of Emma protectively. The familiar fear rushed back, but this time, along with it came fury. "I won't let you hurt her." His smile widened as if he fed off her anger. "Calm down. I'm just here to open a door, Clara. After all, she deserves the truth, and I'm the one who holds it." Darkness weighed heavy in Clara's chest, a storm swirling with rage and fear. She refused to let this man dictate her life again. Clenching her fists, she stepped forward, defiance firing in her veins. "And I'll never let you in, not now, not ever." The banter hung in the air, thick with tension. Clara realized that, perhaps, this was the moment she had been waiting for, the moment her past would either sink her or grant her freedom. Would she find the strength to confront the man who threatened everything she held dear? The question hung like an unlit match, ready to ignite at any moment, and Clara wondered if she was truly prepared for the storm that awaited. Clara's heart raced, the palpable tension stretching in the air like the moment before a lightning strike. She could feel Luke's hand gripping hers, squeezing tightly, a lifeline in the chaos. The unsettling man's taunts echoed in her mind, mixing with the sound of Emma's innocent questions. "Mommy, who is he?" Emma's voice was so small, an unwitting casualty in this battle Clara never wanted to fight. Clara took a deep breath, steadying herself. She had to shield her daughter from the shadows of her past. "Just someone I used to know, sweetie." She managed a smile, forcing her tone light. But inside, her heart screamed in protest. "Oh, Clara, that's rich." The man stepped forward, unwavering. "You can't just brush me aside. I'm part of your story, whether you like it or not." His eyes glinted dangerously, as if he thrived on the fear he instilled. Each word dripped with menace, like poison. "Life is about more than just the story you want to tell," Luke interrupted, protectively placing himself between the dangerous man and Clara. "You can't bully her anymore. Not today." The man's confident grin faltered for just a moment, his surprise visible as he sized up Luke. Clara felt a flicker of hope. Luke was not only her anchor, he was becoming a warrior too. "I don't want any trouble," Clara said, her voice more assertive now. "You made your choices, and those choices don't involve me anymore." "Is that so?" "Because from where I'm standing, you're the one being defined by those choices." His gaze flickered back to Emma, who stood resolute behind Clara, clutching her mother's leg with innocent defiance. "And I don't believe that's the legacy you want to leave." "Stop. Enough." Clara shouted, her voice breaking free, summoning strength from somewhere deep within her. "You don't get to dictate my life. Not now, not ever. I've fought too hard to start over, to be a better person for my daughter." The man's smile faded completely, replaced by a mix of resentment and surprise. He took a step back, perhaps realizing that Clara was no longer the timid woman he once knew. She stood taller now, fortified by the love for her daughter and the support of the man beside her. "Fine," he spat, annoyance thinly veiling his anger. "But I'll be watching. Don't think you can hide forever." With that, he turned and walked away, his presence dissipating into the distance like smoke in the breeze. Clara's shoulders sagged as the tension evaporated from the air, replaced by a heavy silence that draped over them. But for the first time in a long time, she felt like she had taken a step toward reclaiming her life. "Is it over, Mommy?" Emma's voice broke the silence, wide eyes resting on Clara with a hint of worry. Clara knelt down to meet her gaze, brushing a few stray strands of hair behind Emma's ear. "Yes, baby. It is. For now." Luke's expression softened, relief washing over him like a wave. "You did good, Clara. I'm proud of you." As Clara smiled back, a renewed determination surged within her. The threat may not have vanished completely, but she struck a blow against it. Later that night, as they sat on the porch, the sun sinking low in the sky, Clara turned to Luke. "What if he comes back? I can't let him hurt Emma." "I'll be here," he promised. "We'll face whatever comes next. Together." The warmth of his hand in hers was reassurance against the uncertainty of the future, but Clara knew deep down the fight was just beginning. A chill crept up her spine as she wondered, if he wanted her truth, what else had he hidden in the shadows? As the stars blinked into existence overhead, Clara's resolve stirred. She would not be defined by her past, she would reshape her future. But as the night grew darker, a feeling nagged at her. What if more secrets awaited her, lurking in the corners of her life, ready to unravel everything she had worked so hard to rebuild? And deep down, she knew she had a choice to make: confront her past head-on or let it cast an even larger shadow over her future. Clara woke the next morning with a knot in her stomach. The sun streamed through the window, casting a warm glow throughout the room, but the light felt foreign, as if it were illuminating shadows rather than fighting them away. She slipped out of bed, careful not to wake Emma. The little girl had fallen asleep clutching her stuffed bunny, an innocent guardian against a world they could not fully comprehend. Clara watched her for a moment, heart swelling with love but laced with worry. In the kitchen, the smell of coffee filled the air, a comforting balm against her rising anxiety. Luke was already up, staring out the window, his expression distant. As she stepped closer, she could see the creased lines on his forehead, emphasizing the seriousness of his thoughts. "Good morning," Clara said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. "Morning," Luke replied, turning with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. His worry mirrored her own. "How did you sleep?" "Not great. Just thinking," Clara admitted, pouring herself a cup. "About him. About the past." Luke leaned against the counter, hands tucked into his pockets. "You know you can talk to me, right? Whatever you're feeling," he encouraged gently. Clara nodded, sizing up whether to confide in him. I can't shake the feeling that he's not done with us. What if he comes back? I won't let him hurt Emma." Luke took a step closer, the warmth of his presence wrapping around her like a blanket. "We'll protect her. It won't happen again." But even as he said it, Clara felt a flicker of doubt. The shadows cast by her past loomed larger than she liked to admit. Later, with Emma happily munching on her cereal, Clara pulled out her phone. Her fingers hovered over the numbers to an old friend, someone who might still have connections to the life she had left behind. Breathed, she closed her eyes for a moment. If she was going to confront her past, she needed intelligence, a better understanding of what she was up against. "Mommy, can we go to the park today?" Emma asked, her bright blue eyes wide with excitement. "Of course, sweet pea." Clara smiled, her heart tightening at the joy on her daughter's face. They would have a day of laughter and sunshine, even amidst the uncertainty. But the thought of the park meant more than just leisure. It was a public space where, for the first time, Clara could embrace normal life, with the worry tucked deep inside, hidden behind laughter. As they strolled among the brightly colored slides and swings, Clara tried to focus on Emma's glee. But something whispered in the back of her mind a feeling. "Mommy, look!" Emma called, pointing to a flock of birds soaring overhead. Clara glanced up, moments later hearing the familiar sound of footfalls behind them. Her heart quickened. Turning cautiously, Clara's breath caught as she spotted a figure, a shadow she recognized all too well. Panic tightened in her chest. It couldn't be. "Stay close to me, Em," she whispered, shifting protectively in front of her daughter. "Is everything okay?" Luke asked, sensing the shift in her mood. "No. Not okay, she said, scanning the park for the looming figure. But he was gone, just as sudden as he had appeared. Just a trick of her mind? Clara felt cold sweats prickling her skin as she scanned the park anxiously. Let us go home, she decided, urgency flooding her voice. Now. As they turned to leave, Clara's heart beat erratically, the feeling of being watched prickling at her skin once again. Back at the car, locked doors felt like a fragile shield against the storm brewing inside her. What was she going to do? She had faced him once, but could she do it again, knowing the stakes had never been so high? And amidst all this turmoil, she realized that the real battle had only just begun. As the engine roared to life, uncertainty boiled in her stomach. Would confronting the truth finally set her free, or would it tighten the grip of the past she desperately tried to escape? Clara drove in silence, the weight of the past pressing down heavily as she navigated the familiar streets. Each stoplight felt prolonged, a reminder of the obstacles that lay ahead. Emma chattered excitedly in the back seat, oblivious to the turmoil swirling in her mother's mind. Mommy, can we get ice cream later? Emma's voice broke through the haze. Sure, sweet pea. After we get home, okay? Clara responded, forcing a bright smile, even as her heart raced. Luke reached over, placing a reassuring hand on her thigh. We're okay. We'll be okay, he said quietly, and for a brief moment, Clara found comfort in his words. But that flickering doubt lingered, shadows twisting her thoughts. What if her past caught up with them? What if they weren't safe? As they pulled into the driveway, Clara felt a mix of relief and apprehension. The familiar sight of their home, with its peeling paint and worn porch, was a sanctuary, yet it felt tainted with the threat she couldn't shake off. Let us get inside. Clara said, her voice brighter than she felt. Once inside, she locked the door behind them, the sound echoing in the stillness. It was a small action, but it made her feel like they were sealed off from any danger, at least for now. With Emma happily engrossed in her toys, Clara slipped into the kitchen to gather her thoughts. She pulled out her phone again, heart racing as she scrolled through her contacts. She hesitated over Janine's name, an old friend who had ties to her past life. What kind of information could she offer? Did she even want to drag that chaos into their lives again? Just as she was about to hit call, a sudden knock on the door sent her heart lurching. The sound cut through the air, sharp like glass. She froze, phone slipping from her fingers and clattering onto the counter. Clara? Luke's voice broke through her panic. He appeared behind her, his brows furrowed. What was that? I don't know, she stammered, a cold dread washing over her. Stay here with Emma. Not a chance, he replied, moving closer. Don't open the door. Another knock, louder this time, rattled her resolve. Clara felt her pulse quicken. What if it was him? What if he had found them? She reached for the door handle, trembling fingers brushing against the cold metal, her breath hitching in her throat. Clara, Luke urged, worry etched on his face. Don't. Yet the door felt like a barrier between her past and the present she desperately wanted to protect. This was more than about her, it was about Emma, too. With a deep breath, she opened the door slightly. Peering out, her heart dropped. It was Janine, clutching a small package, looking frantic. Clara. Thank God, Janine exclaimed, eyes darting around as if she were being chased. I need to talk to you right now. Clara hesitated but stepped aside, allowing Janine to cross the threshold. Shut the door, Janine whispered urgently, looking past Clara into the street. What is going on? Clara asked, anxiety twisting through her veins. They're looking for you, Janine murmured, her voice shaking. There is something you need to know. Clara felt the ground beneath her shift as the weight of those words settled over her. The past hadn't been as easy to escape as she hoped. Fear clawed at her heart. What do you mean? Before Janine could answer, the distant echo of a voice filled the air outside, a voice Clara recognized, one that sent chills down her spine. Clara, I know you're in there. As the revelation of who truly lurked in the shadows approached, Clara's blood ran cold. Her worst fears were beginning to unfold, and she realized she might be forced to confront the past she had tried so hard to bury. Would facing it head-on lead to the peace she sought, or would it unravel the new life she had fought to create? Clara stood frozen, the words echoing in her mind like a thunderstorm rumbling overhead. Janine was tense beside her, the urgency dripping from her every word. "We need to go," she urged, her eyes wide and darting, scanning the quiet street outside as if still expecting danger to emerge from the shadows. "Go? Where?" Clara squeezed her eyes shut for a moment, trying to shake off the panic that threatened to overwhelm her. The voice outside was a reminder that her past was prowling at the edges of her life, ready to pounce. "Anywhere but here. You can't let him find you. We have to." Another knock, sharper this time, rattled the door and sent Clara's heart racing again. "I'll call the police," Luke suggested, his voice low but steady, a lifeline in the chaos. He moved to grab his phone from the counter. "No!" Clara nearly shouted, gripping his arm. "If it's him, if they trace the call, but we can't just wait." Luke's eyes were wide, filled with a mixture of anger and concern. "We can't let him take you away from us again." Janine stepped closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "Clara, he's dangerous. I wouldn't he have come here if it wasn't he serious. Please, we need to get you away." The reality of Janine's words seeped in like a cold mist. Clara stole a glance at Emma, still buried in her toys on the living room floor, completely unaware of the world threatening to crash in. How could she protect her little girl? "If we leave, we risk him following," Clara replied, trembling slightly as she considered the decision looming before her. "Maybe we can make it out the back," Luke suggested, glancing toward the kitchen door. "We can drive to my brother's. He's got a cabin out of town. No one would find us there." The weight behind his words anchored her, but doubt still hung heavy. "Time's running out, Clara," Janine insisted, her urgency intensifying. "You can't let them take your life, again. We can't let him win." The voice outside grew louder, now more desperate. "Clara! Open the door. I just want to talk." The sight of Emma's pure innocence lit a fire within Clara. She was determined to protect her. "We'll go," she said, resolution setting in. "Get the car." Luke hesitated for just a moment, searching her face for any sign of doubt. "We need to move, now," Janine urged, pushing her toward the kitchen door. Clara grabbed her purse, moving quickly to the back door, heart pounding as they hurried through. It felt like a scene out of a movie, a blend of adrenaline, fear, and determination coursing through her veins. They stepped outside. The air was cool, fresh, a stark contrast to the stifling tension building inside. Clara's mind raced. What if they made it to the car, to safety, only to find it wasn't enough? What if they weren't fast enough? They rounded the corner to the driveway, and Luke kept glancing over his shoulder. Clara pressed on, willing her legs to move faster. The sound of feet scuffing against pavement echoed in her ears, a reminder that her past wasn't far behind. As they reached the car, she turned to Janine, the uncertainty swirling. "Will he find us?" Janine's face was pale, but her answer was firm. "Not if we don't let him." They piled into the car, Luke behind the wheel. The engine roared to life as he reversed into the street, but just as they pulled away, a shadow crossed Clara's vision, and she turned to see a figure standing at the end of the driveway, fists clenched, eyes blazing with anger. "Clara! You can't run from me!" Panic seized Clara's chest. They were leaving, escaping, but this wasn't over. As they drove into the night, Clara realized that the road ahead was unknown, and the battle to reclaim her life had just begun. What if the choices she made didn't lead them to safety, but deeper into danger? The haunting question lingered as they sped away from their past, each heartbeat echoing the fear that this could all unravel at any moment. Clara gripped the edge of her seat as the car sped down the dark road, the wind whipping through the open windows. The engine's roar drowned out the chaotic rhythm of her heart, yet anxiety pulsed through her like electricity. Luke's hands were firm on the wheel, but worry painted his features. Emma, snuggled between them, was blissfully unaware of the storm swirling in Clara's mind. "Are we safe now?" Emma's small voice broke through, innocent and bright, contrasting sharply with the tension surrounding them. Clara looked at her daughter, who clutched a fading toy bunny in her hands, and felt her heart squeeze. The girl deserved joy, laughter, and a life unscarred by darkness. "Yeah, sweet pea, we're safe," Clara replied, forcing a smile to her lips. But deep down, she felt the encroaching fear of her past creeping ever closer. They drove in silence. Only the howl of the wind and the rhythmic pulse of the tires filled the space. As they drove, thoughts swirled in Clara's mind. What if they arrived at Luke's brother's cabin only to find more shadows lurking there? What if they couldn't escape the truth? The man's words echoed in her mind like a haunting refrain. Could she really leave all her ghosts behind? "Let us stop for some food," Luke suggested suddenly, breaking their quiet frenzy. "Emma's probably starving." Clara glanced at him, seeing the kindness in his eyes compared to the storm of emotions tearing her apart inside. Reluctantly, she nodded, hoping a small break could distract her from the weight pressing down on her heart. A diner flickered in the distance, neon lights inviting them into the sanctuary of normalcy. Luke pulled into the lot, the sound of gravel crunching beneath the tires almost calming. Inside, the bell above the door jingled like a welcoming song. The smell of fried food and fresh coffee enveloped them, wrapping Clara in a warm cocoon. They found a booth in the back corner, a spot that felt safe and hidden, nestled away from prying eyes and potential judgment. "What do you want, sweetheart?" Luke asked Emma, tapping the menu in front of her. The little girl looked up, her expression serious as she studied the choices before her. "Chocolate milkshake," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Clara chuckled, the sound like a fragile piece of glass trying not to shatter. "Coming right up," Luke said, catching Clara's eye as he signaled the server. As Emma bounced in her seat, Clara felt a flicker of hope rekindle within her. Luke's presence brought a calmness that soothed her racing thoughts, yet doubt still nested in her heart. "Clara?" Luke's voice pulled her back. "Are you okay?" She took a deep breath, considering how to express the turmoil swirling in her mind. "What if he finds us? What if he knows where we're going?" Her voice was barely above a whisper, but it trembled with fear. "He won tea," Luke assured her, leaning closer. "You're not alone. We'll figure this out together, remember?" The sincerity in his gaze enveloped her in strength, encouraging her heart to beat in rhythm with the courage he radiated. "I know," but her voice faltered. The fear was tangible, wrapped tightly around her heart. "Look," he said softly, "we will visit your past, but we'll do it on your terms. You're in control now. You'll define your story, not him." Those words felt like sunlight piercing through a thick fog. Clara nodded, bolstered by his faith in her. She made a choice, a commitment to fight for her and Emma's safety, their lives blossoming instead of remaining in the shadows. Before long, their food arrived, chocolate milkshake and all. Emma giggled as she drank deeply, her cheeks flushing with happiness. Clara watched her, heart swelling with warmth. In that moment, amid the sizzling of the fries and the hum of diners chatting, they felt worth celebrating. "Can we share some fries?" Emma asked, her voice bubbling over with excitement. Clara smiled and nodded, the innocence of her daughter's joy making her worries momentarily drift away. Suddenly, her phone buzzed violently against the table, cutting the warmth like a blade. Recognizing the number before she even checked the screen, Clara could feel her chest tighten. It was Janine. What if? Clara muttered, fear flooding back. Luke took her hand, grounding her in the moment, as she hesitated. Finally, she took a deep breath and answered the call. "Janine." "Clara." "Thank God." "Please." A crash echoed around them, a noise so loud it raised the hair on Clara's arms. Through the diner's glass window, she caught sight of a familiar silhouette, one she had hoped to leave behind. It was him. Her blood ran cold, fighting every urge to scream, to run. "Janine, I'll call you back." Clara cut off the phone call, eyes wide, panic gripping her heart sharply. "Clara, what is it?" Luke asked, leaning forward, concern etched across his features. She pointed toward the window. "He's here. I can't face him. Not like this." Luke's intense gaze locked onto hers. "Then we don't. We leave now." With that, he stood, ready to protect their daughter and their future. Clara's heart raced as she whispered a prayer, trusting her instincts to escape the encroaching storm. "Back door." She breathed, her voice carrying urgency as she pulled Emma to her side. They slipped out of the booth, heart pounding, as Clara risked one last glance through the window. The man stood there, searching, waiting, his shadow long and ominous against the diner's glow. But Clara didn't have time to dwell in terror. They hurried toward the back exit, Luke leading them out into the cool night. "Stay close," he murmured, each step echoing a promise, one that fulfilled her deepest need for safety, a bond stronger than fear. They burst through the door into the quiet alley behind the diner. Clara pressed Emma closer, her heart racing with hope and gratitude intertwined with fear. They walked swiftly, the darkness enveloping them, but for the first time, she allowed herself to breathe, to believe in a brighter future, the life she had fought so hard to build. Clara didn't know what lay ahead, but she promised herself she would face whatever came next with strength and determination. Together, they were a family navigating the chaos, and together, they would find their way home. As they approached the car, Clara felt a power within her rise up. She would reclaim her story. And the shadows? She'd learn to brush them aside, step by determined step, holding fiercely to the love she had for Emma and Luke. As they drove away once more, Clara's heart thumped rhythmically, alive with hope, tied to the promise she would not run from her past again but instead transform it into a beacon of resilience and strength. No longer would she be defined by the darkness, she would let her light shine through. Now, dear friends, this is the moment to take action. If you felt inspired by Clara's journey, subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support is what keeps these tales alive. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about the ending. Your voices matter. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share, only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.